Anita!
Clammy palms, dry, parched throat, heart pounding out of your chest, legs trembling so hard it feels as if they're going to run the other way from the other side of your body, the other part of your body. I don't know if anyone can relate to the way that I felt each and every time I got up in front of the class to hear Mr. Venditti call out, "Videographer, Anita." I was scared out of my wits. Today I may be feeling the same way, but just a little more confident because I know this is the very last speech. First I'm going to talk about speeches 1 through 6. I'm going to kind of give you a review. Next, a bit of humor. Finally, memorable moments from this quarter, and it's basically about a couple of people in here, so don't take it to heart, it's fun. The reviews of my speech, number 1 was about my mom. I felt like I did a good job on that speech because it was life, it was real, it really all happened to me, and so I didn't really have to think about writing it. It was just like it played out. You know, I wrote about it. My mother's a wonderful, strong woman, and I just love her to death. I don't know what I'd do without her. Speech 2 was my demonstration speech, was the Rice Krispie treats, you know, the big Herkin 5-pounders that I brought in. And that was a good speech, but I was so nervous. I was chewing on gum, first of all. When I was mixing, my hands were shaking so hard, I could barely mix the marshmallow and the Rice Krispies together. So the pan that I made here, that was the best pan that I had. The ones you got weren't even as good. I put way too many marshmallows in this one, so it was just all marshmallow, no Rice Krispie treat. It was the best thing ever. For my past speeches, this was the hardest one for me. I really enjoyed it, but I spoke about Clinton in the I Have Sinned speech, which I feel like, you know, we should all forgive him and forget. I feel like he did do a disservice to the country and his wife and family, but I feel like everyone makes mistakes. He just made a mistake in front of the whole country. 2 was Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan and the Challenger. This speech I actually did, and I went over time, and I was so upset that I did not get to finish the very last quote, and I was just in awe, like, oh, I didn't get to finish it. Are you serious? So I'm going to read you the very last quote, and I thought it was just wonderful. He was a really good speech. "The crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger honored us by the manner in which they lived their lives. We will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them, this morning as they prepared for their journey and waved goodbye and slipped the surly bonds of Earth to touch the face of God." I just love that. I thought that was wonderful, and how it impacted me, even though I was a young child and I saw it happening. We watched it all in our classrooms, and as it blew up in front of everyone, it was crazy. My last speech was on Martin Luther King. It was actually the death of Martin Luther King. Robert F. Kennedy, he did a speech, and it was a really nice speech about coming together, how his brother was killed also by someone. He said he was a white man also. The person who killed Martin Luther King was a white man also. And so I thought that was a really good speech, and I thought that was it was nice. My 4th was Why You Should Hire Me. Why You Should Hire Me was, it was pretty nice. All I did was speak about my experience in the shipyard, which was really easy to speak about because I'd worked there for 4 years and I met nice, wonderful people. It was just a good experience. My live community speeches, I spoke about the auditory, kinesthetic, and all that good learning that we've done. I hope that helped everyone out in your learning style, and how if you were taking a test, how it helped you out if you learned a certain way. I learned auditory and visual, and I felt like it helped me out so far. Although I am one of those people, sorry to tell you, Mr. Venditti, I'm a procrastinator. I am very last minute with everything. I was a silly girl this quarter. I took 4 classes. I don't know what I was thinking. I really don't. I won't ever do it again if I don't have to. But this one was really easy to do. So we spoke about that. Chandra Miller Starks, she did it over in the Student Center, and I thought it was a great speech. The last one we have is Serena Paulson. This one was the most, I wouldn't say the most enjoyable, because at first it was a little rough. We went for weeks without speaking to our subject. We actually had a Korean ESL student by the name of Asia Kim. and we just couldn't get anything out of her. It was just nothing. It was, she was married for 10 years. She got married in the States. She'd been here. All she does is work and go to school. She has no children. And we were just wondering, what are we going to do with this? Well, about a week and a half before we had to do our speech, we got Serena Paulson. Serena Paulson is a GED student. And as you remember, she is a mother of 6. That was just wonderful. That was a wonderful story. I felt so good about doing her story and how she just, I don't know how she survived. I just don't know. 2 husbands, a father, dying on her, and having 6 children to take care of. They're all very successful children. I just can't believe she just raised such wonderful, upstanding citizens. Carol, I just must thank you. She is so wonderful. I'm not the most creative person in the world. Matter of fact, not at all. She did the big template with the pictures on it. I'm not too good at that. I'm not really creative at all. God blessed me with a lot of things. That creativity is just not one of them. So I just wanted to thank you because she was wonderful to work with, and I'm so glad I got you as my partner. Humor. 2 bits of humor that I have I'm going to talk about today. First, I'm going to speak about my girlfriend had a birthday party, and we decided to go out, have a good time. We had the VIP area. We went to an establishment in Kent. Good times. We had birthday cake, big chocolate birthday cake. We danced all night. We just had a fabulous time. We decided after, the whole birthday party, we were going to go to Denny's. It was breakfast time. Everyone was, getting out. We thought, oh, we're hungry. Let's go. We go to Denny's. As we're driving around the parking lot for a space, it was 6 girls in the car. We let one of the girls out, and we says, go reserve us a table. We're not going to get in there soon enough. We'll go find a parking spot. We get in there, and we're all, she basically is sitting at the table, so we're all getting ourselves prepared, sitting at the table, using the bathroom and all that. And we sit down, and we look at one of my girlfriend, and we noticed something funny about her. We're not quite sure. She was wearing a wig that night, and her wig was sitting halfway back behind her head. And there was a restaurant full of people, and no one told her wig was hanging by a string. It's hanging on. We laughed so hard we cried. We laughed so hard we cried so hard that one of my girlfriends fell over in the chair, hit her head on. Yeah, it was just a crazy situation, but it was so much fun. We laughed so hard. Eyeliner was running. We couldn't stop laughing. And we just were asking the waiters and waitresses, why didn't you say anything? She had no hair on her head. It was too much. The second bit of humor was, I have 4 children. And my first experience of having I had twins first. And so at Madigan Army Medical Center, I'd been married. My husband was 20, I was 19. And we go in, and I'd actually been in the hospital for about 34 days. I'd gone into early labor. Yeah, it was the most horrible time ever. And I was just thinking, I can't wait to go in the hospital. Be careful what you ask for. Because I was asking, I can't wait till I get into the hospital. And then I actually went into early labor, and I had to stay in the hospital for 30 days. And they gave me the worst view. Like, after I had my kids, they gave me the view of the mountain. But before, I was looking at the roof. It was the most horrible thing ever. Anyway, when I went in, and I was about to have my children, it was about 34 days after I'd been in the hospital, 32 weeks. I go in, and my doctor, she's examining me. My husband's there, my sister, and her best friend. And so I'm there. It's all family. I'm okay. Because I was having twins, they had extra nurses, and 1 doctor, but extra nurses in the room. So she puts my legs in the stirrups, and I'm sitting there, and I had already gotten my epidural. I was all ready to go. I was like, yes, let's do this. Check it out. Let's find out what's going on here. Let's get these babies out of me. And and as she sat down in her low chair and she was going in, my mom always told me when we were younger, we could never say farted. But I farted in her face so loud and so long. And I was so embarrassed. And her eyes, she wore glasses. And she was sitting there, and her eyes were just doing this. Her eyes were just fluttering. I was so embarrassed, and it was just silent in the room. After, it was just silent. And then my husband's sitting there. He has a videotape, okay? We videotaped this. And he's got the videotape, and he just is like, everyone's quiet. He's just like, rah! And he just starts to break everyone else out. Nurses were laughing. The doctor and I were the only 2 that weren't laughing. I was just like, he ran in the face. I couldn't believe it. I was so embarrassed. That was about,